So what's better? One hero on the boat, somebody that can do it all, or the trained crew? What happens when that hero is the person in the water? People are relying on that person to make all the decisions, make all the commands, do 90% of the effort when you're on the water. But when that person's in the water, nobody else knows what to do. But a properly trained and performing crew can collectively perform complex tasks better and more accurate and make better decisions than a single performer on one crew. An untrained, underperforming crew, overall's performance is significantly worse than the performance of a weakest single crew member. It's really important for a team to understand how to break the chain of events which happen that cause an accident. There's always going to be a chain of events. This is going to link to this. This is going to link to this. 4 is the accident. You break 3, you break 2, you break 1, you don't have the accident. That's really important to realize when you start doing assessments on what happened in an accident. There's a chain of events which lead to a tragedy. Often it's not the tragedy alone, it's A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3 lead to the other event, which causes a tragedy. A series of events is linked together, and that causes the mishap. Should any one of those events in the series before the mishap be broken, you can prevent the mishap. But it's up to every single crew member to have the ability to talk about these possible links when they see an error, to break that chain. Seeing something that might lead to an injury has to have a response from every crew member, and the environment on the boat has to be such that anybody can talk about what they see as a safety hazard as any single time. Safety is the most paramount at any vessel. Preventing crew overboard starts with a chain of events and people being able to see, recognize what's unusual, speak about what's unusual without fear of ramifications from a hero or from somebody else on the team. That has to happen. And that environment is what stops accidents from happening. So how do you break that chain of events when you see things happening, when you can see things that are wrong? There's a term for that which is called situational awareness. And there's many elements which we can look at which help people understand what situational awareness is. And it's always good to know what's going on around you. But for you to understand what's going around you, you have to have, number one, good mental health. You have to feel good about who you are and feel good about your team. You have to be in really good physical condition because the physical always affects the mental. You have to be attentive to the details that are going around you. Understand what your job is. The cross-training helps you understand what other people's jobs. When you cross-check each other, you can see that things are being done in the right way. But also, situational awareness, the major key is inquisitiveness. If you see something that might just look different, it's going to be really important for you to address that, verbalize that, ask somebody, this looks different to me. What does that mean? All right. This is where the situational awareness really comes in to impact performance and the ability for teams to work well together. We don't tell those people if they see something to shut up. We don't tell them to be quiet. We don't tell them to stand by. We give them an answer and we give them what the reason is. Because sometimes what is out of place just might break the link in the chain of events. Situational. What breaks down situational awareness? What degrades that? So we know what situational awareness is, but what takes it down? Well, you remember we talk about being part of a team. We talk about conflict, all right? Rules 3 and then rules 4, the rules of racing. So some of the things that really degrade situational awareness is a strength of a single idea. We're going to be doing this no matter what. Sometimes you'll be hearing that. Or I have decided this is the way to go. Another thing is a hidden agenda. Somebody might be on the board with a hidden agenda, or this is the way I always do it, you might hear, or this is the way we do it on another boat. There's a team way to do things on your boat. People have to understand the team way, and leaders need to reinforce that team way. Sometimes it's complacency. Well, the vest isn't going to work for me, or the vest is binding here, or whatever the excuse is, or complacency, or, I had to hurry up and get this task done, so I didn't put my vest on when I came on deck. No, you need to have a platform where you can make those corrective actions, or accommodation. You might think somebody's more senior to you, and you might want to give them accommodation. Oh, they know what they're doing, or somebody says, "Oh, I'm a really strong swimmer." These are things of giving accommodation. But sometimes it's just sudden loss of judgment. And that happens when people are tired. We get, judgment mistakes all the time. All right, but those sudden loss of judgments also can be links which happen to be the key links when it comes into identifying these before you can stop some sort of incident and breaking that chain. Those are, the key things when it comes to the degradation of situation awareness. So we talked earlier about the things which degrade situational awareness, but what are the symptoms of the loss of situational awareness? A couple things. You have ambiguity. You have fixation on certain tasks, complacency, euphoria, confusion, distraction. Sometimes people are distracted. Like, for instance, somebody might be watching email, doing something on their cell phones while they're not really paying attention to their tasks. There might be a lot of different things. Looking at dolphins, although they're cool, sometimes that could be a distraction. Or maybe even overload, being tired, too much work. These are things which are symptoms of losing situational awareness. As a skipper, or as a safety officer, or as just a crew member, when you see that, you have to have some skills to refocus people back onto what the situation is in order, once again, to break the link when it comes to situations which turn into crew overboard situations or other crises. Another aspect which happens for the loss of situational awareness are some attitudes. There are very hazardous attitudes that people might display on a vessel. And again, we want to keep people in the boat. All right, we want to keep the water out of the boat. All right, we don't want to hit anybody, and we want to have a good team. We want to look good doing it. Now, what doesn't fit in any of those of the 4 rules of racing is anti-authority. Somebody who's criticizing the leaders that are there. Whispering that people can't hear, or somebody has a different idea and they whisper it to another teammate. On my boat, there's no whispering allowed unless you're talking about something that's not sailing. But if you're talking about sailing, whispering is not allowed. There is no dissension on the vessel. Impulsiveness, very, very, very harmful on a vessel. Invulnerability, this macho, this whole thing of I can do it, we don't need anybody else to do that. That machoism, that individuality, the invulnerability that goes alongside of that, those can be also very hazardous. How about this? Resignation. Oh, I don't care anymore. Let's just get there. That alone is a sign of a hazardous attitude that could be very harmful to the team if there is a crisis. And how about this one? Just get us there. I don't care. Just get us there. That type of attitude, all right, can be high risk. You're not making the safest decision. You're making a decision just to get there. These are the things which help degrade or break down situation awareness. And as a skipper, these are when you see this, these are things you're going to have to address on a day-to-day, sometimes minute by minute, but hopefully not. But usually in your daily briefings, these are the things you might want to discuss. These are great leadership tools for your watch captains and other people on the vessel as well. Okay, building that team. How keeping people in the boat, right? Rule number 1, keep people in the boat, right? So how do you do that? How do you regain situation awareness when things are starting to degrade? There's actually leadership tools that you can use. Number 1, you can stop the boat. There's no reason, or stop a maneuver. If you see things that are happening unsafely, there's very good ways that you can stop things and redo it, or hesitate, or say belay, or abort, or stand by. Use language that people understand to stop a maneuver in the midst of it if you're losing that situational awareness, or you see people degrading their situational awareness. You want to reduce threats. You want to get away from the ground, of course, and you want to get away from obstacles when you have that going on. You really want to establish control of the vessel as well. And you want to take your time. You want to reduce the urgency, whatever task that you're doing. You want to take some deep breaths. You want to hydrate, get some water. And then always remember, sail safe, navigate, and communicate. These are the keys for leaders to understand how to develop this situational awareness. Make the safest decision. Make the safest decision as much as you possibly can, and understand what the risky decisions are and the mitigation for the risk. Communicate this to your team and build your team. Other tools to regain verbally or actively situational awareness. Everybody on the team should be able to call timeout, abort, standby, or even say, "This is stupid. Why are we doing this?" We need to bring that inclusiveness for everybody to make a safety call. If somebody sees something dangerous, they have to do that. Skipper's job, watch captain's job, that's your role. Make an environment where people can talk about what's safety. Captains need to establish VES stable configuration in order to solve these problems. I mean, if you're in a maneuver and it's unsafe, you need to stabilize the vessel. You need to sterilize the cockpit. Talking to the cockpit should be about safety, and it should be about sailing. Any other distractions, those really need to be addressed or kept to a minimum. When it comes to talk about safety, we need to encourage that. Encourage speaking about safety things or experiences people have or lessons learned. But most importantly, when it comes to maneuvering the vessel over time when you're tired, always talk through the maneuver, have people understand the sequence, have them relay what their sequence is, understand the commands and the sequence together before you actually do the maneuver. Talk it, then walk it.